All right, hello friends, how you doing? Day 426. Hope you're doing great on this beautiful Monday. As you can see outside, very sunny and beautiful in Vancouver. And so today I'm coming in to share with you my notes again. This is the bonus day that Tony Robbins is actually giving those on the challenge. And so today I'm just going to share with you some of my notes. Let's see here. Uh, Actually, okay, so he started with really just answer some questions with regards to his next event. I'm not going to go into those because it probably is not going to matter to most of you. And then, okay, so Brian Bradley, he actually came on and he started with the Gasku exercise. And so there was actually one that I did not do last time. So I'm just going to put it on here. And that way I still have a reference to it. And so this exercise, okay, so first thing, you want to have your your feet pigeon-toed, okay, meaning like this. Okay, I can't show you here, but pigeon-toed. And then once they're pigeon-toed, you want to straighten out your legs. Okay, so push your knees back. After that, you want to interlace your hands behind your neck. Okay, like this. Okay, and then pull your elbows back as far as you can. Okay, make sure you don't hurt yourself. Okay, and so this is what it looks like on top. Okay, and then again, pigeon-toed, knees back. Okay, it'll feel like you're sticking out your bum, and then you're supposed to hold this for 30 seconds. Okay, so again, pigeon-toed feet, knees back, and then interlaced hands behind the neck, and then just elbows back. Okay, and again, bring it back, but if it hurts, don't go that far. Okay, and so that's the last exercise that I'm just going to show before we really get into some of this stuff. And so, all right, so today he actually had a couple of his friends come in and actually share some of their expertise. And so the first person he had come on is Anthony William. He calls himself a medical medium. Not sure exactly what that means, but he wrote a book called Cleanse to Heal. Okay, and it's based all on juicing celery, right? So celery juice. And so I haven't looked into myself to see if all this is legit, but I'm sure there's something to it. But I'll have to actually look to myself. I'm just sharing what he's sharing, so that again, these are some notes. And again, when it comes to your health, I definitely encourage all of you to really look into it for yourself. And just remember, each body is different. So just because something may work for someone else doesn't mean that it'll work for you. The best thing you can do is to, try different things, see what works for you. And just because something might not work the first time doesn't mean that it won't work for you eventually. Of course, if it's something that's actually hurting you, then definitely stop, right? For example, like yoga. Man, I tried yoga 6 times and I felt nothing. Like people are like, oh my gosh, I felt so much better and did that. I'm like, really? I've tried 6 times, nothing. Then when I did a 30-day yoga challenge every day, that's when I started to feel the benefits of yoga. And so I'm like, oh, okay. So again, as long as it's not hurting you, then I would definitely encourage you to try different things, right? Intermittent fasting is what I tried and it worked for me, right? Some people, not so much. I have a goal of actually trying a 3-day to 7-day fast soon. So I'll come on and I'll let you know how I feel and my process through that. But going back here, okay. So Anthony William, he talks about when it comes to your energy in your body, it all comes down. He says it all comes down to percentages. Okay, and so he says if certain organs are not working well, like your liver, your kidney, your lungs, your stomach, your colon, your brains, right? If they're not working optimally, then you lose the amount of potential energy you can actually have to power you throughout the day. And so, so that's really his main premise, right? He says if you got toxins in the brain, if you got stuff that's affecting it, right, it could cause brain fog, or if you got like fat or bad things in your stomach lining, right? Again, it'll decrease the amount of energy that's available to you. And so, and he says every little thing will decrease the percentage of energy you'll have available to yourself. And so he says, he wants, he says that everyone needs a foundational tool to be able to help you. And so that tool he recommends for everyone is celery juice, right? He calls it an herbal medicine, an herbal extraction. And so, he thinks drinking lots of an herbal medicine is good. And what it does is it flushes the body, it flushes the organs of any toxins or any bad stuff, right? So basically, it cleans your body out. And by doing that, it actually allows you to have access to more energy. Okay? And he calls it the ultimate electrolyte. Again, I haven't done my own reading. This is just the notes that I'm sharing with you guys. Eventually, I'm going to have to go back and do my own reading and research. And then he goes on to share about adrenals. Okay? Adrenals are a critical part of your energy production, right? That's where adrenaline comes from. It says, when we're beaten down, that means that's when we're in trouble. Okay? And that means we create less adrenaline. So how do you charge adrenaline back up? He says this with celery juice because it cleans out the organs. Okay, like for example, when blood gets thick and toxic, what happens? The heart gets overworked. And so less oxygen means less oxygen goes to the brain, which means less vitality. Okay? And what do most people do? Most people turn to caffeine. And really what that does is it's only masking the energy loss, right? He calls it fake energy. And you're actually not creating anything vital to you. And so he recommends 16 to 32 ounces of celery juice in the morning on an empty stomach. Okay, and he says when you do that, you're thinning the blood, you're removing toxins, removing metals, and different poisons in your body. You're flushing the intestinal tract, and the stomach. And so he says just straight up celery juice. Don't add anything to it. No water, no ice, no lemon. Just strain it and drink. Okay. And so that's his recommendation. I've heard it before. I haven't looked into it myself, so I can't vouch for it, but I'm just sharing with you again what he shared. And I would encourage you to do your own research, right? Don't just go to one source, go to multiple sources, and use that thing called critical thinking. Okay? And then Tony came back on and he started to talk about health in general. He says, why don't doctors tell us all these things? Right? And the main reason, and I agree with him, is that doctors really aren't taught nutrition in medical school. Really, if you think about it, doctors are taught how to actually treat diseases. And for me, I've always been a person who wants to focus more on prevention than having to correct something, right? And prevention is way better because you actually, the challenge with prevention for a lot of people is that you have to pay a price up front versus paying a price later on, right? And so like if you get sick, then you have to correct it, right? And that's where doctors are great. And so now you're paying for it. And maybe it's because you made certain decisions in your lifestyle or your health or what have you, right? Whereas if you paid up front with regards to eating healthier, right? Paying organic, having supplements, being disciplined in exercising, right? You're paying a price up front, but what you're doing is you're preventing severe illness or diseases. Okay? And so he talks about how doctors are not taught nutrition in med school. And then nowadays, he's talking about the half-life of all the information that doctors learn in med school nowadays is so short. And what he means by half-life is the information, how long does it take to actually be out of date? And nowadays, my gosh, he says it's so short. I forget what the actual date, how many days, but it's a very short period of time. And I was like, that's crazy. But I can also see that happening as well because advances in technology just allows us to actually learn so much more nowadays. Okay? And then so let's see here. Oh, yeah, he talked about nutrition and lifestyle is upstream, meaning prevention, right? And if your body drinks, let's say, the celery juice and it doesn't taste good, he says it's probably because your body is so acidic, it's not used to it. And so you just got to stick with it, and eventually you want to alkalize your body. And one of the ways, I don't know if he said this, but I believe that having just lemon juice with water in the morning, that will help alkalize your body. Our body has a certain pH, and for most people, it's always acidic because of the foods that we eat and the lifestyle we have, right? A lot of the stuff that we enjoy are making our bodies more acidic, which is not a good state to be in because the more acidic you are, the more susceptible you are to certain diseases and being sick. Okay. And so and then Tony went into a Q&A. He had a couple people ask questions. So one person asked, they just lost a job. What skills and strategies will I learn to help me through this time? And so Tony talked about one of the things he covered before. He talked about how crisis equals breakthrough, and that's why his whole challenge is the breakthrough challenge. And it says 85% of the time, most people, they don't change anything in their life until a crisis hits. And why is that? Because we're lazy. We like to stay comfortable. We don't want to move unless we have to. This is the majority of people, not everyone, right? And so he says, you got to reignite momentum so that you can actually bring your best self to interviews, right? And so that's why everything you learn through this challenge, if you apply, will help you increase your chances to getting the job that you want, okay? Again, there's no guarantees. It just increases the chance. And so, first thing he says, you'll probably learn at the next seminar. So, what do you want, right? You want to get clarity on it. And a lot of times people don't know what they want. And so he asks people, okay, if you don't know what you want, what do you not want? What do you know that you don't want in your life, right? Because a lot of times people know what they don't want. And there's lots of energy there, For example, if you think about your worst job, what did you hate about that? How about your worst relationship? Right? What did you really hate about that relationship? And then once you figure that out, just ask yourself, what's the opposite of that? And then whatever the opposite of that is will provide you a key to understanding what your ideal relationship with your ideal job is. Okay? But again, everyone's different, so it's just an exercise that you have to go through yourself, or take one of his programs. There's lots of different programs you can do that, but I just kind of told you what to do. You just got to do it, right? So again, how do you get there? Get the right state, have the right clarity, focus. Okay, you got to focus on what you want, not what you don't want. And then he talked about how you have to discipline your disappointments, and then just go right through them. Right? We're always going to have disappointments throughout life, whether we're trying to make a better life or if we're just stagnant. And again, there's no one's actually ever stagnant. You're either moving forward in your life or you're going backwards. And so if you're not moving forward, look in the mirror, you're probably moving backwards, my friends. Because we're never really just staying the same. Okay, so the next question, I'm worried about my old patterns creeping back in. How do I get rid of it forever? And he talks about a Dickens process that he takes people through. And he didn't really go through all the details, obviously, right? But it's a whole process you go through. He says it's quite physical. But essentially, he simplified it by saying it's linking so much pain to what's held you back. And then having you identify them, right? Pick the top 3 or 4, and then you want to annihilate them, okay? Get them out of your nervous system. And he compared that to purging your body of something that's actually not good for you. Like, for example, if you have food poisoning. And so, in essence, it's a conditioning process, okay? And what you're doing is you want to build a muscle of certainty and momentum. And that's why his programs are like a full immersion, 12 hours a day. And so, KK had used the example of if you had a CD, right? If you're old enough to know what these are, right? If you scratch the CD, right, you actually erase the program, or the program won't be able to run anymore. And what you learn at different seminars or even books or what have you is you're replacing the old program with the new program. Okay, so again, that's just an analogy. It's not exactly how that works, but essentially that's the that's a process. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, so the next one. This was a good one. I think some people might actually have this. So there's a young girl or young lady who asked to have tips to overcome imposter syndrome. Okay, basically having feelings of being a fraud or that she doesn't deserve success. And Tony talked about if you view it as a thing, it's hard to change. But if you view it as a process, it's easy to shift. Okay, and so it's really about, again, it goes back to what he taught this whole week, and specifically on day 2, about the power of identity, right? You got to build up the identity that you want, not necessarily what other people want you to be, but what do you want, right? And really, it stems from just fear. That's what Tony said. Okay, he's afraid to fail or afraid to succeed, even, right? If I succeed, then what expectations will come upon me, right? So again, it's that thought process and just recognizing what's going on in your mind. And then he goes back to the 5 to thrive diagram. So again, just go back to there. I think that was day 1. I did day 1 or 3, I think, or 2. It's one of the first 3 days. I know that. Okay, and so Tony said, well, how did he reprogram himself? You know, he shared doing incantations to program his mind, right? Again, because he talks about how the mind generalizes, distorts, and deletes, right? If you guys remember that. And so if you think you're not worthy of success, well, why do you think that? Because you're generalizing, you're deleting certain things, and you're distorting what's going on. Because if you think about it, you know, if you don't think you're deserving of success, well, let's break it down. Like, you know, are you a good person? Yes. Are you a kind person? Yes. Are you a loving person? Yes. Are there good parts of you? Yes. Okay. So if we only looked at those parts, why wouldn't you deserve success? Right? And then it's just, again, she's like, oh, okay. She's starting to get that she's actually focusing on the wrong things. Okay? And so again, my friends, what are you focusing on? Right? Let's see. Yeah, so he just talked about, you have all these beliefs, right? You just got to select the right ones, the ones that will actually serve you. Okay? You need to see the person that is deserving of that success. Okay? And another thing he talked about is you got to stop thinking about yourself. Focus on serving others more than anything else. Okay? And when you do that, you'll be able to actually start, it's not about you. Right? He said, change your state, do the incantations, and then select the proper parts of you. And those are just his tips of overcoming imposter syndrome. Whenever you feel like, you know, I'm a fraud. I don't deserve this success. And then, let's see here. So the next thing he talked about was his book. His new book, Life Force. Okay? And I've heard about it before. I haven't read it yet. And essentially, I didn't realize what it was about until he started to, hey Beth, he started to talk about some of his research in terms of science, and he shared about his story in terms of talking to a lot of the top doctors, scientists, Nobel Prize winners. He had a ripped shoulder and he wanted to find solutions because they said, "Oh, you're screwed." He says one wrong move and you're going to quadriplegic, right? He can't move any parts of his body. And so he says, well, there has to be a solution, right? And again, successful people, they focus on solutions, not the problem. So what do you think about when an issue arises? When you have an injury, do you focus on, oh, crap, my injury? Or do you focus on, okay, what do I have to do to overcome this? What do I have to do to heal my body? Right? Because at the end of the day, you can't change that you got injured. So why focus on that? Right? Obviously, you got to be aware of it and you have to understand as much as you can. But then, okay, cool. Let's focus on getting better. Right? Same thing with a broken heart. Right? Are you looking in the rearview mirror? Or are you looking at the windshield? Okay, what type of life do I want to create now that I'm moving on from my ex? Right? As an example. And so Life Force is actually about, so he found a solution in the form of fresh stem cells. And the scientists and doctors, they found that stem cells from the umbilical cord that were about 4 days old were actually still quite useful. And they're regenerative medicine is what it is, right? And he's saying that it actually might be available next year sometime. They're just going through some legal stuff, like FDA approval and all stuff, right? It has to go through safety and then I forget the other 2 stages. But apparently it's supposed to be injected through IV or into the arm, whatever, wherever the place is. And it's like a 15-year-old's stem cell, basically, they said. And it's supposed to lower your biological body's age by a certain amount, right? So he said that he's done it, and he's 61 or something. And but his biological makeup is like a 51-year-old, and his goal is to get down to a 40-year-old. So I'm like, hey, that's hopeful. Because who doesn't want to feel better? Especially as you get up in age, like, oh my gosh, like I'm an athlete. That's one of my identities because I've always been active and I love sports. But as I get older, my gosh, the body, it just doesn't perform at the same rate as it used to. And most importantly, it just doesn't recover like it used to. Let's say that. When I played like a full day, like a tournament, I was so sore, but the next day, boom, I didn't have much soreness. A little bit, but I was fine. Nowadays, I barely play like maybe 4 hours of sport, 3 hours, and like I'm sore for the next 3 days. I can still do a lot of what I want to do. It's just the soreness is there for longer. It just takes longer to recover. So just as a heads up for some of you young folks, take care of your bodies, my friends. Take care of your bodies. Okay. And so, and then in his book, he said in the last 2 chapters, he writes about how understanding how the mind can actually heal your body. And again, your brain, your mind is so powerful, my friends. Okay, it's important that you learn about that. And so after that one, he actually brought up another of his friends, Master Ko, and his wife Sage. And so they shared something called pranic healing. Okay, and I'll just share with what they talked about that. It comes from the word prana. Okay, and Master Ko said that this prana is all around us. When you do your breathing, your meditation, your prayers, all of it is harnessing an energy to keep your body strong, healthy, and be able to heal it faster. Every thought, every emotion we have is made of this subtle energy, this prana. And he said that it's not good enough that you forgive. He says that you have to bless them with love. So when he says that, you are supposed to say what you want to do, right? So you say you are completely forgiven. Go in peace. Whatever blessings you want to give that person, right? You don't just think it. You have with this meditation, you're supposed to say it, right? You're supposed to essentially pour your love to the other person. And it's an unconditional spiritual love. It's not like, oh, okay, I'm saying sorry because I'm supposed to, right? It has to be genuine. Okay? And then he talks about you got to trust in love, trust in something more, and just put it on the table. Because when you have more depth in that place, it causes you to be able to navigate through that. Okay? And then something really beautiful happens. And let's see here. The practice of prayer meditation is an inward path, right? It makes a beautiful life no matter what's happening in the external world. Okay, you can, like, if there's a guy that I'm working with, right? And he struggles with this, but the truth is, you can know what peace is. You can know what happiness is, and you can actually have a true brotherhood and sisterhood on this path. And I know it may be a struggle or a huge challenge for some people, but it is possible, my friends. You just have to be open to the possibility of it, right? If you shut the door right away and put a wall up, guess what? You don't allow things to come in, but at the same time, you shut things out, all the good stuff as well, right? And so I get it, right? If you want to protect yourself, I get it. But is it serving you? And then the last guest he brought on was an triathlete, world-class triathlete. Her name was Suri Lindsay. She's no longer a triathlete, but at the age of 23, she wanted to be a world-class athlete. But at that time, she didn't actually know how to swim. But she had that goal, which is amazing. I love it. And why did she have that goal? And she was just so passionate with her sharing. She just wanted to get to a point where she could count on herself and know that she's going to be there and to stand up when things get hard. And don't we all want to know that about ourselves? I know I did. But at the same time, I know how many times I gave up when things got hard. But the truth is, looking back, it actually hurt me when I didn't plow through the hard times. And so just remember, my friends, life will always have difficult times, right? And whatever path you choose, there's always going to be failures along the way. unless you just hold up and do nothing about your life. Okay, but the key is, are you learning from them? If you are, then the failure is actually not a failure; it's a victory. Okay, and then going back to her story, after 8 years of intense training and a lot of fear, she became the triathlon world champion until she retired 2 years later. And so, her question is, what are you willing to do or commit to now? You have to become the master of your emotions, your meanings, and your health. Okay? Because it can literally save your life. And then she talked about in November 2019, she had a certain diagnosis. She had the perfect life, the perfect partner, health. She's, doing work that she's fulfilled with, touching lives. And then, boom, she was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia with a genetic mutation that basically made it almost impossible to treat. She said it had less than a 10% chance of actual survival. So that's pretty crappy diagnosis, agreed? However, she learned that she doesn't have to accept it. She didn't have to accept that story that the so-called experts told her. And so what did she do? She changed the story. She changed her state, she changed her story, and she didn't accept the diagnosis, right? And by doing that, it gave her meaning to her journey, which it gave her power. Okay, again, you all have a choice. And you have tremendous power inside, my friends. You got to access it. Okay, and how do you do that? You got to develop and condition your habits. That's the biggest thing, right? You guys all have certain habits. The question is, are they serving you? Do you automatically go to the negative, or are you always looking for the positive? 95% of people out there are always jumping to the negative, and they wonder why. They're not happy. They're not fulfilled. They wonder why they can't get a break. It's your habits, my friends, okay? But the thing is, you can condition them in a way that they serve you and give you power, okay? There's many things: priming, breath work, alkalizing your body, right? What you eat, your diet, your exercise, how you move, okay? And anyway, she ended up having a bone marrow transplant, and, the next day, she actually got up and started walking around, again, moving her body, okay? Because, again, that's how you build anything. That's how she became stronger. It gave her energy. And so, she prayed every day, and she had a certainty that she had everything inside her to overcome the illness. And then she also talked about the power of gratitude and giving an empowering meaning and all the gifts through her experience. Today she's cancer-free. She gets to live. And she said, when faced with your own mortality, you get so much clarity. I think that's beautiful. Essentially, she just realized that she wanted to live every single moment in her life in alignment with what's most important to her. And so, how about you, my friends? Are you aligning your life up to what's most important to you? Do you even know what's important to you? What are your values? Right? And so, and she said, to do what you want in your life, you need your health. Not just physical health, but emotional, spiritual, mental, right? You have to treat your body as a temple. You might be able to get by now, but eventually your habits are going to catch up with you, okay? And really, the only thing getting in your way, my friends, is your mindset and your limiting beliefs. It's everything Tony's been teaching us this whole week. And she said she had a seated belief that she deserved more. And I'm going to echo that, my friends. You all deserve more. But the person who's standing in your way is the person in the mirror. Okay? She said, if you're afraid, it's okay. But what fear is it's an invitation to take your life to the next level. And you need to believe that there's more for you. Okay? So, what is it? Tony says, if you can't, you must. And then here's a couple of quotes. Complexity is the enemy of execution. Keep things simple, my friends. Just take it one day at a time. And the last one that Tony's quote is, I challenge you to make your life a masterpiece. I challenge you to join the ranks of those people who live what they teach and who walk their talk. And that is my challenge to you, my friends. What life do you want to live? Find some clarity to it and just take a step one day at a time. Become 1% better every single day. And so those are essentially all my notes for today. Hopefully that helped you. And the last thing I just want to touch on is, it's amazing some of the comments that I see in the group. There's many people who are, again, it goes back to conditioning, limiting beliefs, right? Past experiences. Many people are asking, why is Tony pushing so hard for his next event? Why is he selling? Is it worth it? And I'm just like, really? You're complaining. And because of COVID, this is the lowest I've ever seen him, and a lot of intro, what do you call it, seminar prices. It's $400 for a 4-day intensive, 12 hours minimum a day. I'm like, it is $400, and he already gave each person 6 free days. I was like, well, first of all, it's a business as well, right? Like, okay, well, talking about that, I think if you think about it, most likely people who question the price or the commitment or what have you, most likely they've probably been an employee their whole life. Because if you're a business owner, I don't think you would actually ever question that. Because you understand the value of investment, right? Every business owner knows that you got to invest into your business to actually grow it. And so what better investment is there than yourself, my friends? The question is, do you believe enough in yourself that you are worth the investment? And if you're unsure, I'll tell you right now, my friends, the answer is yes. You are more than worthy. You are more than worth it. You just have to believe in yourself and be willing to take that step. And of course, Tony's just one program. There's tons of programs out there, my friends. Tons. But at the same time, I'm like, he just gave us 6 days. So that's already tremendous value. Like, the value is infinite. Okay? You pay nothing except some of your time and energy. And he's leaving the videos up until February 4th. So you got a few extra days still to actually go through the videos that you may have missed. And so there's still time to actually take in everything before he takes it down. And of course, I'm making these videos so that I can review them later on, and or for anybody else who wants to review some of these things. And so, if you have reservations, if you have doubts, if you're skeptical, just, I just look in the mirror. What are you skeptical of? Like, if you think about it, let's say you pay $400. You get 4 days in full immersion. How about plus the 6 days? So that's 10 days. That's $40 a day, if you will. On top of that, you have an opportunity to connect with other like-minded people who are also wanting to better their life. Wouldn't you want to be around people who are living from abundance, who are positive, who are uplifting, encouraging? I know I do. That's why I'm making this video. I'm hoping that I can be a part of that as well. That if you ever need a little bit of positivity, you just come to my channel and you listen to something, and I just kind of remind you how amazing you are, how beautiful you are, how special you are, how unique you are, how loved you are, how much hope there is available for you. All you have to do is just take a few steps. And to remind you to live. Live life, my friends. That's my motto. Live life. What does that mean? Live life to the fullest. Don't live it for somebody else and their expectations. Okay? But of course, it requires you to do the hard work, which is going inside, figuring out, and being, having clarity of what you want in the world, what you want in your life. What story are you writing? Because right now we're all writing a story. Every single decision you make, you're writing a story. My encouragement to you, just make sure it's a good story. It doesn't matter the preceding chapters, what's happened in your past. You can start right now and write a brand new chapter. And the beautiful thing is, you get to choose how the chapter and the book ends. All right, friends. I hope some of what I shared helped you, and that's all I have to share for today. Okay, see you.